Good morning and welcome to today's recording on planning for growth. So today we'll be taking you through the key steps that you could follow to ensure your business is best placed to achieve your business growth goals. My name's Diane Brown. I'm a Chartered Accountant and Business Advisor with SRJ Walker Wayland, and my passion is education and educating business owners such as yourselves on the importance of planning for success and working with you to achieve your growth and profitability goals. So today I'm going to be taking you through the 9 key steps that we follow in any growth strategy. I'll talk briefly about the 4 key ways you can grow your business. I'm going to use a little animal kingdom analogy to talk about how you can maximize your revenue base by finding your zebras. I'll take you through how to complete a competitor analysis and why it's important. And finally, we'll discuss some of the key barriers to achieving your growth goals. So the first thing you need to do in any growth strategy is look at where your business is now. So what's working? What's not working in your business? Where has your business growth come from historically? Has it come from you slightly decreasing your margins, so you're having lower prices but higher turnover, whether that's through discounts, offerings, etc.? Have you increased your margins, which in turn has increased your profitability? Have you increased or revised your credit terms? Or have you grown your business by releasing new products or services into either your existing market or new markets? So have a think about historically, where has your growth come from? Have a think about where you think it should come from. And more importantly, you need to be considering what the impact is on your cash flows of these past strategies that you might have tried. So in terms of growth, we all know that growth doesn't even equal profit. So a growth strategy is simply one component of your profit strategy. We know that profit doesn't equal cash. So what we're looking for is we want sustainable growth that is basically cash flow neutral. So budgeting for that growth is critical. So the first thing we need to do in developing our growth strategy is do a bit of a gap analysis where we need to address 9 key issues. So what you want to do is you want to look at rating yourself around why people buy from you, and rate yourself. Do you know? If you don't know, it'll be a -5. If you know, it'll be a +5. So rate yourself somewhere. Think about what you think you should be achieving in terms of that particular category. So you should be nailing about 4 or 5 of why people buy from you. And if you don't know that, then you need to do some research to find out. You need to do an audit on the impact of your current marketing activities. How have they performed? What have you done that's actually resulted in a direct increase in sales? You need to be considering your selling skills and the sales skills of the staff that are in that position. Are they able to actually meet their targets? Do they have targets? Do they have sales pipelines? What's their sales process? You need to be thinking about the clarity of your target market. Who are you targeting and why are you targeting them? You need to know what your competitive advantage is, and you need to know how to approach your clients that are particularly interested in that competitive advantage. You need to get some clarity around your internet and social media strategy, and how good has been your previous history in terms of growing a business, whether it was either in this business or in a previous role in a different business. How well are you pricing your products and services? Do you understand your pricing methodology? Is it appropriate for your margins and your growth targets? And how well do you know your competitors? So you need to be making sure that you are addressing where you are now with respect to all of those key factors. So determine how you're performing, do that gap analysis. The second step is examining your buyer behaviour. So how do your customers make decisions? What behaviours do they exhibit before buying your product or service? What need are you addressing in the market to help meet the need of that buyer behavior? Step 3 means segmenting your market. So this means gaining clarity on how to position your market approach and how you're going to spend your marketing budget. So you need to be specific around the location of your clients, the size of your market, and your pathway to targeting those particular clients. Step 4, and it amazes me how many businesses don't do this, but survey your clients. What do they want from you? What do they value from the product or service that you're providing to them? And how are you delivering on this? What can you do better to ensure that you're meeting their needs? Step 5, your competitor analysis. So who are your competitors? Why would customers buy from them? And benchmark yourself against those competitors. And I'm going to speak about that a little bit more later on in today's learning module. Conduct a product benefit portfolio analysis. So this means looking at all of your key products or services and working out where they are in terms of this scale. So if you are introducing a new product, they're in what we call the wildcat phase. So we're not quite sure how the market is yet going to be responding to those, although we should have done some market research and testing to be able to get a fair idea in the first place before we release the product. But we're still in the introduction phase. The products that are going to be making you money are those that are sitting in the middle quadrant of a graph. So your growth products are your star products, and those that are at the peak of maturity in their product life cycle will be what we call your cash cows. So they're the ones that are currently making you the most money. And then you've got those that maybe the product cycle has moved on, the market might have moved on, and you're starting to see a dip in sales. And they're what we call our dog products. And we might want to reevaluate the contribution they make to our growth and profitability targets and whether it's actually worthwhile removing or redesigning those products or services to make them more attractive to the market. Step 7 means you need to evaluate your pricing strategy. So there are 5 key pricing strategies that we look at, and probably for most businesses, you'll have some sort of combination of the first 3. So cost plus is our traditional accounting style model, where you have your price set based on your materials, your labour, your overhead, plus your profit amount you want to make, and that's the amount that you sell your product or service for. Underlying that though, you need to be mindful of what the market will pay, which is the demand-based model. So how much will people pay for your product? If your cost plus pricing is higher than what demand is, what can you do about it? Are you selling the right product or service in the first place? You need to look at what your competitors are pricing their comparable product or service at. If your pricing is higher than theirs, what additional benefits does your product or service provide that theirs doesn't? And how do you sell those additional benefits to clients and potential customers? Finally, there are some industries that have government regulated pricing, and there are links back to your pricing model to your growth plans, such as whether you are targeting increased margins, which means you might want a higher price, or whether you're targeting lower margins but more volume sales to increase your turnover. There are a number of different ways we can go about looking at your growth plan, but it's important that you have examined those. You need to develop your growth strategy. So that means looking at your overall business strategy. You need to be reviewing your product or service range. You need to be reviewing your pricing. You need to be reviewing and identifying what are your top 5 performing products, both in terms of highest margins and numbers sold. So identify what your star products actually are and how do we sell more of those. You need to work out what your actions are, summarize it in a 1-page plan, ensure it fits with your financial model and your overall business strategy. So when we talk about growth, There are 4 key ways to grow your business. And as we go through each 4, it gets harder. So the easiest way to grow a business is through what we call a market penetration method. So this is simply where you take your existing products and services and you sell more of them into your existing markets. So your growth strategy is linked to finding ways you can actually do that. How do you reach more clients in your existing market with your existing products? The second one is what we call market expansion. So this is where you take your existing products into new markets. For example, do you have a product that is only currently available domestically that could potentially be sold, exported or sold overseas? Do you currently sell through a retail store? Can you add on an online store to give you the opportunity to sell your existing products and services into new markets? The third way is product expansion. So this is where you have identified a need for a new product or service, you develop your product, you release it into your existing markets. So that's the third way. The hardest way is what we call diversification. So this is where you may have your existing customer and sales base, you may have your existing product and sales base, but you might come up with a new product that may in some way be linked to what you're already doing, and you're going to release that new product or service into a completely new market. It is easier to start at number 1 in terms of basic growth strategies and work your way down that approach to get quick success. So in terms of maximising your revenue, the first step in developing a growth plan and the underlying sales process that is really important is understanding what your customers currently need, what currently works for you in terms of meeting that need, and what doesn't. So to do this, I'm going to use an analogy from the Lion Kingdom, and I'm going to talk about the lion pride. So if you think about a lion pride, obviously they've got a lot of different animals that they can choose to hunt. But they worked out long ago that if they have developed a strategy to hunt the right prey at the right time, it'll increase their chance of survival. So they had a common goal and a common vision, which is simply to hunt and feed, and they needed to do it in the most effective and economic way possible. So they didn't want to waste their times chasing the savannas, roaming the savannas, chasing little pigs that maybe require a lot more energy for a lot less return. So they figured out quite early on that their most effective method of survival was to focus on their most effective type of prey, which is a zebra. So they learned to cull and ignore small prey that distract them and wastes their energy that's crucial to their survival. So we can expand that analogy to any organisation. So I've seen a lot of organisations that hunt clients that aren't appropriate for their organisation. They're either the wrong size, the wrong fit, they're not going to generate to their profit levels. And we all know the Pareto 80-20 rule, where 80% of your profit might come from 20% of your clients. So what are the key characteristics of those 20% of your clients? So we're going to utilise the lion pride approach to identify those clients, which we're going to call our zebras, to ensure that we're targeting our growth activity and our marketing spend in the right areas. But before we do that, we've firstly got to work out who is our zebra and who's who in our lion pride. So if you think about a lion pride, that's going to be your team. So in a lion pride, you've got the black bull that provides continuity and security. You've got the senior lionesses that assist with the planning and execution. You've got the junior lionesses that assist with the execution and ambush. And if one of them dies off or gets injured, then we bring up the cubs. So the world's best succession plan. So all of those elements work together to achieve their common goal. So we need to figure out who's who in our team to help us find our zebras. So if we're thinking about our zebras, we need to think, who are the customers that give us more return for less energy? So our less risky customers are those that pay better. So we want to focus on the key characteristics of our high value customers. What are the similarities between those? How did we get them? Where are they located? How can we reach them? And we want to figure out how we can develop a plan to get more of those particular clients. So you need to be thinking about who, what, and where is your zebra. At the same time though, you do need to have done a competitor analysis. And I don't want us to think in the traditional mindset of who sells the same product or service as me right now. I want us to think about, yes, who's currently selling the same or a similar product or service as me now, but who could offer similar products or services in the future? Or who could remove the need for my product or service? And what can I do about those in particular? So I want you to consider asking yourselves those 4 key questions. So why do you need to know who your current competitors are? Because your customers will know them. They're going to know the difference. People are educated consumers in today's market. They're going to know if company A is more expensive than you. They're going to know if company B has a better reputation for after-sales service. They're going to know if your product is better than theirs by X, Y, and Z. So you need to know what can you do about it and what can you do differently to satisfy any of their unmet needs. So when you do a competitor analysis, the first thing that I like clients to do is to think about why people buy from you in the first place. So this is clearly linked to your sustainable competitive advantage, which is about thinking about why people buy from you as well. So do people buy from you because of price? Do they buy from you because of the purchasing experience? So is it easy to deal with you? Do you have a central location? Do they buy from you because you're an online store and your products aren't sold, in a retail store? Do they use your service because you have the best response time and you have sensational after-sales service? Do you deliver quality products and services on time every time? Do you have a fantastic reputation? So you need to be looking at the 5 or 6 key reasons why your clients or customers buy from you in the first place. Then I want you to think of at least 3 key competitors. And I want you to rate yourself. So give each one of those key factors a rating out of 100, a weighting out of 100. And I want you to think, so is the majority of the reasons that client buy from you price? You might rate that at 50%. Is it because they want a purchasing experience? Is it response time? Do these other factors get allocated 10% each? I don't know. It'll be specific to your business. So you allocate yourself. Then I want you to compare yourself and rate your competitors. I want you to identify the gaps and work out a strategy broken down into detailed action items about what you're going to do to address those gaps to ensure that you constantly come out ahead of your competitors. So if we think about growth, why is it that some businesses are better placed to achieve growth than others? 1, they have a plan. They've been through a growth analysis. They have the systems and processes in place to check the achievement or the results of their strategies, and they adapted accordingly. So planning for growth is critical. Some of the common barriers we see are people don't understand their sustainable competitive advantage. So why do clients buy your product or service? What makes you unique? What need are you meeting? And what need are you addressing? And how are you meeting that need for those particular clients? What is unique to you that clients keep coming back to you about? So develop that sustainable competitive advantage. The second most common barrier we come across in terms of limiting growth is the lack of understanding of who your identified customer base is. So this comes back to making sure that you're aware of who your zebrats are. It's also around a lot of clients don't have a clear understanding of their products and their pricing strategies and methodologies. So they also don't have an understanding of, if you've got 90 different products that you sell, which ones have the highest margin. So the easiest way to make money is work out which of your products and services have the highest margins and sell more of those. So think about your product and your pricing strategies. An inability to identify and compete with competitors is another one. So how do you know that you are priced and delivering appropriately to your market if you're not aware of what else is out there in the market? So make sure that you have that competitor analysis completed. And underlying this is a lack of targeted marketing activities. So it's really important that your marketing activities, whatever they may be, are directly mapped to reaching your zebras or your identified client base. And it's also important, particularly if you're spending money on digital marketing, such as Google ads, Facebook ads, etc., that you are working with a provider that is giving you a clear understanding on your return on ad spend. Because sometimes I think that some clients think if we just throw money into Facebook ads or Google ads, it'll automatically generate increased sales. It doesn't always work like that, and you need to work out exactly how much bang you're getting for your buck. So make sure you're looking at targeted marketing activities. So I hope that gives you some ideas on how to structure your growth to ensure it's managed, achievable, and cash flow neutral or better. So remember today, I want you to think about identifying your growth strategies, pulling them together into a one-page plan with allocated responsibilities and action items. Work out who your zebras are, identify any barriers to growth that you may have, do your competitor analysis, consider the impact on your cash flow of that growth strategy, and finally come along to our Business Moreton Bay Region Growth Workshop that we'll be rolling out in 2021, where we'll give you further information and tools on how to actually build out your growth strategy. Thank you for listening, and best of luck with your growth plans.